Hello and welcome to another video, I guess, about my Asperger syndrome, which is a form of autism, which is a very big, weird, varied spectrum of sorts, which can affect both females and males. For a long time most people thought it was just males that it affected. I think it's because it's easier to spot in males, and so I think people with it, or females with it, they only ever really notice it if it's sort of more low functioning autism than high functioning, and that because if you're high functioning and you're female then you can mask it more. But what this video is just not so much a video about what it is and stuff, but maybe how it affects me personally. And just a bit of a disclaimer, obviously how it affects me will be different to how it affects other autistic people, so if you are watching this and you wanting to apply it to someone you know who has autism, it might still not help. Hopefully it will. But again, it's always different. I think it's kind of like it's like making a pizza and then obviously saying to someone, you know, put your own toppings on it. You know, the things that I want to put onto my pizza from my brother are completely different, and so, you know, even though that base is pretty much the same, the added things are different, if that makes sense. So what I mean is, like, I think it affects everyone pretty much the same, but the way I deal with it and the way and someone else deals with it will be different, and the way it manifests itself will be different. So there are certain things that I'll find more difficult than someone else with it, and vice versa. There's something that someone else might find really difficult that I've never really had as big an issue of, or at this point in my life I can deal with it better than they can, and so on and so forth. But today's Friday and yesterday was obviously Thursday, which was a long day at college. Some stuff happened, or things happened of course, and I just thought maybe I could go through what happened and say how maybe my autism affected me both negatively and positively, because I do feel like a lot of people unfortunately just see the negatives of it, you know, and unfortunately I feel like that's probably has a lot of autistic people makes them unfortunately feel like it's a bad thing as well. You know, when you say, oh, I'm autistic, and then someone's like, oh, okay, and then might sort of come across like they're uncomfortable now around you, then you start to feel uncomfortable because of it, which is a shame, really. But yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah, okay, so first thing that happened yesterday was I went to the corner shop near the college, and yeah, it was better than usual because it wasn't really packed like it is at lunch or break or whenever during college. So it was very, as I say, quiet, so which was good because unfortunately that little corner shop is a little corner shop. And so at break or lunch it's rather packed, so that usually it gives me a sensory overload and stuff, and I don't like that, and I'm not familiar with the people behind the counter and the people who own the place, so obviously that also, plus the fact that it's usually packed, is very unsettling and unnerving for me. Then I had maths first thing, which is good. I personally like maths. There's a misconception that all autistic people like maths, and that I think people with autism can be creative, but in a logical way, if that makes sense. For example, you know, if you just said to an autistic person, draw something, you know, as an art teacher, then I'd have a bit of a meltdown. I'd be kind of like, what do I draw? What do you want me to draw? Whereas if they gave me some more structure and a bit more, more structure and a bit more logic to it, like say you have to just draw a specific a building or an animal, then there's that bit more. You still have freedom, but not to the massive extent of draw anything. You know, it's narrowed down to animals, but it's still quite an array of things. So, you know, or they could be even more specific, like only a type of dog or cat or something. You know, But yeah, I had maths first thing, which was good because I like maths. Unfortunately, there were two people who were sat next to us who were somewhat enthusiastic in wanting to talk to me and ask me questions and stuff, which was a bit annoying because I was actually kind of wanting to get through this past paper thing that I was doing. I don't think the level that I'm at is challenging, but not to the point where it's like really sort of challenging that I get stressed out. So it's like challenging, but good challenging, if that makes sense. Like, because I can just about imagine myself grasping and hopefully passing level 1 in maths. Whereas, as I say, I think it's not so difficult, as I say, that it's unachievable, which is good because it's that balance. I think it's that perfect balance for me anyway. The level that I'm on. Whereas, as I say, I think entry level 3 clearly was way too easy, but I feel like the next one, like level, might be that bit more too difficult. But yeah, so maths was good, even though it was a bit of a nightmare-ish, kind of, because the room we're in now is very echoey, because the room is rather like there's a tall ceiling, and so it echoes around and stuff, which is, or voices echo around in that, which is very unsettling and unsettling for me, because even if there's only myself and someone else at the back talking, I can just hear the vibrations of what they're saying back, and that makes me start being unable to continue talking and stuff, or being able to continue focusing on the conversation I'm having with the other person. Next lesson we had we had English. English was somewhat boring because our tutor pretty much was separating everyone, and we all had to do different stuff because reasons. It was really dumb. And then, so, yeah, we were just sent up to the library, or study centre library, one of the two, to do, like, a past paper, which I didn't really want to do, and that. Then after that, it was lunch, and I kind of wanted to talk to a certain support staff person about how I was obviously stressed out about something, but unfortunately they weren't there. I kind of dealt with it by just sort of trying to calm myself down with deep breathing techniques, sort of calming myself down with that, playing on my 3DS, just sort of maybe going over through my head of what she would have said if she was there, as well. As I say, deep breathing techniques, just sort of focusing on what I was doing at the time as well, like playing the 3DS game that I was playing, which was Super Smash Bros, so thank you Super Smash Bros for that, I guess. But yeah, it was just unsettling because it was like I wanted to talk to her on my terms, when obviously, unfortunately, the way college is, it's like everything's free-flowing in the sense that, like, that will never always happen. I dealt with it better than I did a while ago when she once wasn't there, and I got really unsettled. And then the next time I went into a lesson, it was like really loud in the class, that then made me even more anxious, and then I basically had just a massive crisis / meltdown, and that wasn't good. Whereas this time I didn't do that, and stuff, and I sort of calmed myself down a bit, but then I did get rather stressed out again, but then she was there, and stuff, and she was able to calm us down again. But the reason why I got re-stressed after lunch and playing on my 3DS and stuff was because I had an exam, so that was stressful. And then after doing the exam, it was kind of stressful because although we were in a lesson with a tutor who doesn't really teach us anything, literally he's not actually a tutor, I don't think. He is incompetent in my opinion, but the thing is, we were in that lesson, and although we weren't really doing anything, it was way too loud. So that juxtaposition of being in an exam where everyone's proper quiet, and I quite like that in that sense, you know, that it's really quiet and you can just focus on what you need to do. Even though if you don't know what to do in that question, you kind of like start stressing out in your own head, but at least there's not loads of other noises as well, you know, of people just screaming and yelling and, you know, doing whatever they do usually, and that. Whereas, as I say, then from going from that to having a little bit of a break, and then going into that last lesson that I had on yesterday, there was just such a juxtaposition. Everyone was like really loud and bombastic, and it was just way too much. So I got a cup of water, tried to calm myself down, and then it wasn't too bad. And then I pretty much had to leave college. It was the end of the college day, and me and my friend from college, he came over here, and that was good and stuff. It was a bit weird because obviously it's the first time that I've actually spent some time with him outside of college and stuff, so that was a bit weird. But I don't know, I just think it was good weird, I guess, but it was still a bit stressful. I mean, I think the last lesson kind of went like, I was okay-ish in the exam, like stressed, and then I went like dipped down into a bit of sadness and a bit of stress, and then kind of randomly got back up to happiness randomly after having a cup of water and sort of trying to calm myself down. And that I don't, if you can imagine, or as just hopefully I'm displaying here, I don't like it when it's quite loud, and unfortunately with that tutor we have on the last lesson on a Thursday, he usually, as I say, doesn't really do anything or teach anything and that, and so everyone's just very loud and usually not doing any work, and so I'll either be trying to do some work and it'll be really stressful, or I'll just be doing my own thing and it won't be work and it'll just be me just focusing on something like, I don't know, looking at, for this case, or yesterday's case, Paul McGann's portfolio of amazing, like, acting career, because fucking Paul McGann, reasons, and that. But I don't know, I think, as I say, lunch was quite difficult. I powered through that though. I could have spent time with my friends, but like, as I say, I think in my head I was like, I want to talk to this like learner support, I want to talk to that person then and there, and unfortunately they weren't there, and stuff, which was, as I say, stressful. But then I sort of calmed myself down and that, and I eventually did get to talk to them about what I was stressed about, which was obviously the exam, but it wasn't as fulfilling as if it would have been when I would have wanted to do it, because it would have been on my terms and that. And the weirdest thing is though, like, she was sort of in the college at the start of the day, like before I had to do maths, right? So I could have said, oh, I'm really worried about this exam, blah, 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 and she could have really helped then, but I didn't want to do that. That wasn't on my terms. I wanted to talk to my friends, but the thing is, because I talked to my friends, essentially I was missing out on, as I say, talking to her about what I was anxious about. But in my head, I was like, you're going to do that at lunch, and that was going to happen, but unfortunately it didn't, which, as I say, did stress me out, and it clearly is still kind of stressing me out a bit now, which is annoying, because again, I wish it went the way I would have liked it to have gone. Unfortunately it didn't, and clearly from this video, if there's anything you can take away, it's that I'm anxious when things don't go the way I want them to be, because I'm a bit of a control freak. But what was I going to say? Yeah, so instead of talking to her in the morning, she said, good morning and all that, and I was like, yeah, thanks, good morning to you too, and that, and then went to my friends and we were just talking and stuff. It's finding that balance between the two, really, I think, because again, I'd have felt a bit bad not talking to my friends then as well, at like the beginning of the day, because knowing me, I would have still sort of done what I did at lunch, just sort of being on my own, because I'm fine with being on my own. Being on my own for the most part, 9 times out of 10 is me being happy and okay, but sometimes that can, indicate to other people I'm sad or upset or something, when actually I'm fine. So, but yeah, so I would have done that anyway. So if I was to go to the support staff person at the beginning of the day, I'd have not seen my friends at the beginning of the day and lunch as well. Whereas, as I say, at least the way I did it, I guess, I saw my friends then and then not at lunch, even though we were all both in the same place. It was just me being over this general vicinity of the place, just being on my own on my 3DS, and them all sort of being over there talking and doing their own thing. So yeah, That was basically my Asperger syndrome thing, part 1. This might be a series of sorts. I dealt with yesterday, I guess. As I say, there was some stuff that didn't go my way, and I wish English would have gone better. I wish, obviously, lunch would have gone better. I wish the exam would have gone better. Too. Well, to be fair, I don't think I did too bad. I don't know. It was a resit, so. But yeah, thanks for watching. Comment, rate, and subscribe.